Divine greetings and gratitude to you, my Saiyonan collective. How are you doing and how are you feeling? I hope that this reading reaches you in perfect divine timing. I set the intention that you receive everything that you do need from this reading and that you reserve as a gift for someone else who may need the reading or the information. Thank you so much for trusting me to give you the messages. Divine, I thank you so much and I welcome you into this space. Thank you so much for allowing me to be protected and for protecting the people who are listening to these messages. Thank you so much for allowing them to receive all the messages that they need. Thank you so much for protecting and blessing the sacred circle. Thank you so much for allowing us to come together to dwell, to fellowship, to lean into your divine wisdom and understanding. We thank you so much for the many blessings that you give to us, and we ask that you please continue to bless us. We ask that you please continue to allow us to continue moving forward. We ask you to please give us the knowledge, the wisdom, the tools, and everything that we need. Everything that we need at this moment in time. We love you. We also welcome in our ancestors, of course, as well as the beings of life from the highest realms of this universe. Thank you so much for coming into this space and for loving us. It is so. I wanted to give you all a quick update. I already shuffled and I already pulled some cards for the Saiyonan Circle. The Saiyonan Circle is private. Is a private space for our community. That is where you receive information. That's where you receive things there behind the scenes that I will not share with the public. That is where you will have access to things that can help you grow, evolve, and transcend beyond any pain and suffering. That is where we can have our one-on-ones. That is where we can have our own private members circle, where in the future we will come together in person. We will have sacred circles, or Saiyonan circles, as I like to call them, where you come and get cleansings, your essentials, and things like that. And we just have not only fun, but we have healing experiences in person. Right now, it is online because that is the easiest way that I can do so. I also want you to know that I am in the process of changing up the website yet again because there were some things that I had to do. There were some things that I had to do and some things that I had to change, some legal things that I have going on here, legal and lawful. And as a result of that, I have to make sure that things are exactly what they need to be. And as a result of that, this requires me to have another ministry. I will explain that stuff later. For now, you can take a look at the website if you like. I am changing some things up. I'm getting some things in order. And I am doing away with some of the older things. The Etherium right now is absolutely open. You can reserve your essentials there. It is based upon donation. You have suggested donations that are available on the website that helps you to transcend beyond your pain and your suffering, expand your consciousness, as well as manifest and heal. These are all things that you can use while you are on the path of remembrance. These are also things that our Saiyonan Circle uses because it helps them with what they have going on. So yes, because we are operating from a ministry, we're not operating in commerce when it comes to our spirituality. We are doing this based upon donations. When it comes to the commercial world, I will let you know. I will keep you informed. I will keep you involved in the loop when it comes to those things, okay? The word that I heard before I started shuffling was the word transcendence. And transcendence essentially equates to surpassing something. It surpasses limitations, surpasses a certain level of understanding when it comes to certain things. When you transcend something, you rise above something. You rise above, it's usually associated with people who are highly spiritual or spiritually inclined, emotionally inclined, intuitively inclined, intellectually inclined. So it has everything to do with people or energies that are inclined in some way. Usually transcendence does, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Transcendence, but he ended up transcending beyond the need of a body. Like his consciousness was, I believe, like in a computer or something like that. So you have that aspect of transcendence, but then you have the transcendence where I'm choosing to transcend beyond the material world or the material plane, and I'm deep into the ethers. I'm deep into the all. I'm deep into the source. I'm deep into the universe. I'm deep into the into the cosmos and things like that. So for whatever reason, there's this idea of transcendence that spirit wants you to sit with. The first card to come out was the Four of Cups. And with that, I did hear the word disappointment, which is interesting because typically whenever you hear disappointment or loss or grief, you would think about the Five of Cups. But in this instance, I feel like this is what happens before then. You start to feel the disappointment. You start to feel things that happen on an emotional level. My apologies. I hope that you can see that. You start to feel things. You start to feel things before they start to fully play out, if that makes sense. The Four of Cups is this energy where you kind of refuse things, either, for whatever reason. You could refuse them because you feel like you don't want to accept it. And that's exactly what I'm hearing. It's like someone is refusing to accept something. And it doesn't always mean that you're refusing to accept anything less than what it is. In this instance, it's coming up as someone is refusing to accept something that actually happened. There is a difference. So it could be the fact that this person feels like it's this idea or this feeling of disbelief, and they just simply cannot deal with the fact that these are things that happen, and they almost kind of feel like they're like out of place, or they feel like their greatest fears has come to life, is what I'm hearing. Their greatest fears has come to life. It's so interesting because you would think that you would have everything that you want, but there's something that is missing. It's so funny because when I did the reading not long ago, like a few minutes ago for the Saiyonan circle, it was this element that came up about something being missing. And it's interesting because I feel like sometimes when there's a missing element, it can make you feel, for some people, they respond in a way where they feel, or you can see the behavior play out in disassociation. You can see it play out in like it could look like depression for some people. It could look like anger. It could look like annoyance and things of that nature. But in this instance, I'm seeing it come up as fear. I'm seeing it as fear. Of course, I would see that because the Eight of Swords is here. I also do feel like it's one of those things where spirit is asking for you to transcend beyond your pain, to transcend beyond your fears here, beyond the fear of disappointment. They're asking for you to go anyway, because if you decided to go anyway, you will be surprised as to what you will find, as to what you will receive. I feel like your guides are asking you right now, or they're reminding you that this Eight of Swords energy here is exactly what's keeping you away from experiencing that wonder. And they're wanting you to transcend beyond this limitation, this self-imposed limitation, this self-belief. They're wanting you to transcend beyond that because they're saying that if you don't, then what's missing, or what could be missing for you, right, is this element of having, or this element of receiving, this element of the joyous wonders that you could ever possibly want. They're wanting you to prepare for that. They're wanting you to prepare for receiving something that you've always wanted. But how can you if you're still locked into the fear, locked into the disappointment, locked into the mundane life of survival? And they're saying to you that you don't have to worry about just surviving. They are wanting you to thrive. I know that we say that a lot here on this channel, or a lot here in readings, but how often do people truly believe that? Hang on one second, you guys. Let me make sure you can see this card real quick. Okay, well, I don't know how to get the angle right now. I don't want to focus on that too much, but I feel like, especially the fact that you do have the Page of Cups here, I feel like they're wanting you to open yourself up the way that a child would, open yourself up the way that an innocent mind would, how they hold no expectations and how they just play, and how everything happens with the flow in that moment. That's exactly what they're wanting you to do. They're wanting you to transcend beyond the fear, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of not having, or the fear of lack or whatever this fear may be. There's someone that is just so unsure, and so with that they just refuse everything because they're just like, I don't know how long this is going to last, so I'm going to refuse it, because if I refuse it, then I'm in control of not having. Because if I don't have something, I want to be in control of not having. And it's, spirit is saying that that's just not a healthy way to live, and they are not wanting you to live that way. They just are not. Wow, exactly, exactly. See, look at this. You have the devil card here, and you have the temperance card in reverse, and you also have the ace of cups in reverse. This is exactly what I was mentioning. Wow, you also do have here the star card. You also have here, wow, wow, okay. I feel like these are all the cards that I need right now. You guys are probably going to hear something in the background because my son is wanting me to stop what I'm doing, and I'm not going to stop what I'm doing when his dad is up there. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going on with the reading. He will be fine. I'm going to go, and I feel like I'm saying that for myself because I will stop what I'm doing, but I have to stop doing that. Okay, so basically, yes, I feel like with this, I remember I think we might have touched on, did we touch on disconnection? I said disassociation, but there definitely could be a disconnect with someone where they're feeling like, okay, I just don't feel like I can receive. I don't feel like it's my time. I don't feel, or I do feel like it's not my time. I feel like I can't connect. I feel afraid of this because of so many things that has happened in my life. And I really just need to keep myself safe. And I feel like your guides, I really feel this so deeply. I can't make it up. I really deeply feel like what you are telling yourself is you are actively creating the barrier that prevents the healing waters from flowing through. And I'm seeing a blue candle. And I feel like with this candle, the spirit is saying is like, I want you to spend time at your altar because I really want you to be able to be cleansed, but also to transcend. But the only way to transcend is by you actually facing it and actually you meeting eyes with it and understanding it and not pulling back and away from it to keep yourself protected. There's someone here who needs to keep themselves protected because they feel like they will be mistreated, or they may feel like there's this type of lack. What is it that that the soul is protecting themselves from, spirit? What is it that they're protecting themselves from? Wow. Seven of Swords coming up here, and the Page of Swords. I'm hearing with this manipulation, I'm hearing cheating, I'm hearing them being left out, things happening behind their back, betrayal. They don't want to experience the betrayal, and so they cut themselves off from whatever this connection or whatever this thing is because they don't want to be betrayed, and they'd rather be in their own space. I almost kind of feel, this is so interesting that I'm seeing it this way, but I feel like with this Eight of Swords here, it almost kind of feels like this energy is like, I would rather stay up here. I know that I have the tools and the resources to get myself down, but I refuse to because I'd rather be up here where I know how to handle this kind of pain and suffering and fear than be in a space where I don't know how to handle it. And spirit is like, I want you to listen to that logic. I want you to listen to that logic. I'd rather hurt over here than hurt over here. What if you transcended beyond the hurt and stated, I decide that I'm not going to hurt. I'm deciding that I'm going to have a loving, rejuvenating experience. Imagine if you decided that you were going to transcend beyond the fear, transcend beyond the lack, transcend beyond all of that, and declare that you are happy, you are whole. It is your time because your time is divine time. What if this is the activation of purpose? What if you transcending beyond the pain and beyond the suffering and beyond the fear would be the activation of purpose? It would be, I just heard the word recall or the calling. What if this was the calling? What if you are recalling the calling, right? I feel like with these cards coming out here, it's one of those things where spirit is saying to you now, like there's definitely work to do, but the fact that you're allowing yourself to be, what is the word I'm looking for? I can't even find the word for this, but the fact that you're allowing yourself to be locked up or chained up to this energy, this is exactly what's holding you back. But what I'm hearing is that this is a choice. Like, I'm hearing that this is a choice that you're choosing. Like, you're choosing to be this way. You're choosing this life for yourself, because they're saying that you are way too much of a power manifester. You are way too much of someone who has these gifts, and you are just too spiritually inclined for you to be in this space that you're in right now. It doesn't mean that you were exempt from the experience. It does mean that you have the capacity to overcome it. And I feel like they're pointing out the fact that you do have a capacity, and they're saying that it's not even just about capacity or potential. It's about the fact that you're being called out. You're being called back into embodiment. And they're saying that they want you to be the embodiment of transcendence, meaning that you have had a hard life. Yes, they are acknowledging that. And I'm also hearing that they're really wanting you to understand the power of following your intuition and trusting it, because that's the very thing that's going to lead you where you need to go. It's the honoring of this energy that they want you to do. There is work to do. So this is the reading for someone who has spiritual work to do. You are not done. Obviously, you are not done. There's a lot of spiritual work that needs to be done here. There's a lot of going inwards that needs to be done here. There's a lot of letting go that needs to be done here. There's a lot of allowing that needs to be done here. And they're saying to go back to your innocence and say where you feel like your innocent self was either violated or dishonored or rejected. Wow. Exactly. That is so wild. These four cards all came out. Okay, so this is like a lot of smoke here. All right, so we have friendship. Hello, my little baby. How are you doing? Oh, I'm talking to my plant. You have friendship. You also have positivity. You have letting go. And you also have miracles. I feel like with these coming out on top of this, I feel like with friendship, it's so interesting because I feel like with this friendship here, it's really just about connection. And I just heard about something about getting with a group. I feel like this is one of those things where this friendship is coming up as connection, and you allowing yourself to be open to people being here for you along this journey. And I just heard the word isolation. It's like someone is so used to being alone and being isolated that they don't even know how to allow people to be there for them, to be quite honest. And the reason why they don't is because, again, there's this idea or this element of disappointment. They don't want to feel disappointed anymore, or they don't want to feel disappointed. And I don't know why I keep getting this feeling of like the Five of Cups, but even though the Five of Cups is not here, doesn't mean that I don't feel the energy. That doesn't mean that the energy isn't present. But I feel like someone is being called to allow someone, something to come in, to be receptive. As I say that, you actually do here have the Empress card, the last card that I'll pull from the mermaid tarot. Um, I do. I feel like this is one of those things where if you decided that you were gonna just let things be and let things go, that's where you can. That's when things will start to come in. I want you to remember that. Okay, allow me to say it this way. I don't mean to suck the magic out of miracles, but I want you to know that the way that I see miracles are things that manifest that you didn't know could, right? Because your mind was limited, or you limited your belief, or your knowing, or you have like a limited mindset as to what can manifest. And I feel like when things do, things that we logically would say, this is not possible, that's not possible, how did this happen, it's a miracle. No, these things are 100% possible. And why are they possible? Because they manifested. You just didn't know because you had a certain idea of what things should be based upon your own logic. And I feel like anytime something defies logic, you're probably just not thinking about it from the overall truth or the overall perspective, or you're not following your intuition, one or the other. And to be quite honest with you, with this miracle here, they're saying that once you do allow yourself to follow that intuition and to let it guide you and to let it lead you, right? They're saying that the miracle here is happiness. The miracle here looks like embracing. The miracle here looks like whatever it is in your life that you did not think could manifest. That's what the miracle is. If you decided to transcend, to let go, to connect, and to allow yourself to receive. Truly, if you decided to let go of that fear, if you decided to transcend beyond the fear, the shame, whatever it is that you may be feeling, guilt, regret, right? Anger, angst, whatever it may be that you're feeling, they're saying that if you were to transcend beyond that, that's when things will start to manifest in your life, and it'll almost feel, it will be magical, right? But it will also feel like, wow, like I can't believe this happened. Well, yeah, because when you are, drowning in fear and things like that, you're creating this energetic field surrounding, surrounding you, that sometimes really does attract these type of energies. At the same time, though, I do challenge those kind of beliefs at times, because I feel like even when we are afraid, I feel like that is where we receive the best outcome, because we're allowing ourselves to overcome it, but we're also just allowing it to be what it is without trying to force it to be what it's not. And that's where the miracle also comes in. So, and then you have flexible, less rigid. I feel like with this flexibility here, this is Spirit's reminder to allow yourself to move. And then thinker. Exactly. Talking about mindset, that's exactly what that's about. I just heard the words over contemplation. Never ending story. Exactly. Okay, you have flexible thinker, never ending story, time for a nap, and soulmates. Exactly. It's this idea of connection, soulmates, friendship. I feel like your soulmates are coming in the form of alliances. They're coming up in the form of friends. They're coming up as, I don't see this as romantic, but for some people it could be. If you guys hear anything in the background, it's my son, and I'm gonna get ready to get off because he's not gonna stop making those noises. I gotta go. But anyway, this is essentially what I'm feeling. I feel like you opening yourself up to these energies, and you opening yourself up to receiving and transcending beyond that energy is what's going to help you. And I'm so sorry that I have to cut this reading short. If you do need anything else, make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you send this to a friend or whoever needs to hear it. I would also like to invite you to go and to reserve a spot over at the Saiyonan archives or over at the Saiyonan circle, because that's where we do have a lot more intimate talks, and that's where we do have a lot more, again, intimate conversations. I'm going to be starting, well, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this or how soon I'm going to be doing it actually, but I'm going to be looking into starting to figure out how to hold circles over Zoom or over video chat. That way we can start off online until we get a space in person. I don't know how long that will take, but I'm not going to rush it. So I am going to start creating and curating these spaces online until we can get in person and have meetups and whatnot. I am located in Virginia, so we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for reserving your essentials over in the Etherium. I love you. Take care, and I'll catch you in my next video.